Hello, family. Welcome to Stories with Pablo. Please subscribe and leave us a like. It means a lot to us. Also, share this video with your friends and loved ones and turn on post notifications so you don't miss our future videos. Thank you for doing so. Chapter 1. The Village of Whispering Winds. The Dawn of Dreams. The sun had barely risen over the horizon, casting a golden glow across the rolling hills that cradle the village of Whispering Winds. The baobab trees, ancient and majestic, stood like silent sentinels guarding the secrets of generations past. Their thick trunks, gnarled and weathered, bore the marks of time, scratches from curious children, carvings from lovers, and the occasional symbol of protection etched by the village elders. Birdsong filled the air, a melodic symphony that welcomed the new day. The scent of freshly turned earth mingled with the faint aroma of smoke from cooking fires. Women, wrapped in vibrant Kent cloths, moved gracefully through the village square, their hands deftly weaving baskets and pounding yams, while children chased one another with laughter that echoed like a river's joyful rush. In the midst of this lively scene stood Kofi, a young man whose presence seemed both a part of the village and yet somehow apart from it. He was tall and slender, his skin a deep, smooth ebony that glowed under the morning sun. His face was youthful but marked by a seriousness uncommon in boys his age. Large almond-shaped eyes, dark and reflective, held a spark of restless dreams. His tightly curled hair was cropped close to his head, and a faint scar ran along his right cheek, a souvenir from a childhood scrape that now seemed insignificant compared to the battles he knew lay ahead. Kofi's clothes were simple, a faded white shirt with a small tear near the collar, patched trousers that had seen better days, and sturdy sandals worn thin by countless journeys across dusty paths. He carried a small, worn backpack slung over one shoulder, the weight of it nothing compared to the weight on his heart. The weight of a dream. Kofi's gaze drifted toward the distant hills, where the horizon blurred into a shimmering mirage. Beyond those hills lay the cities he had heard about in stories, places of towering buildings, endless streets, and opportunities that seemed as vast as the sky. He had heard tales from travelers and traders who passed through the village, stories of lands where money was plentiful, jobs were many, and life was easier. But Kofi knew better than to believe the stories without question. The elders often warned of the dangers beyond the village, of the harsh deserts, treacherous seas, and cold foreign lands where strangers might not welcome those who came seeking a better life. Still, the dream burned brightly within him. As Kofi stood lost in thought, a gentle hand rested on his shoulder. He turned to see his mother, Emma, standing beside him. She was a woman in her early 50s, her skin a warm mahogany shade, soft and smooth despite the years of hard work. Her face was round and kind, framed by a colorful head wrap that matched the vibrant patterns of her Kent cloth dress. Her eyes, deep and expressive, held a mixture of pride, worry, and unconditional love. Emma's voice was soft but steady. "Kofi, my son, the winds carry your dreams far beyond these hills. But remember, every journey has its price." Kofi smiled faintly, the corners of his mouth lifting with a mixture of hope and determination. "Mother, I carry your hopes with me. I will endure whatever it takes to find a better life for us all." Emma sighed, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "The road is long, and the nights are cold. Promise me you will be careful." "I promise," Kofi said, his voice firm, the village elder's warning. Later that day, the village gathered beneath the great baobab tree for the weekly meeting. The air was thick with anticipation as Oba, the village elder, took his place on the raised wooden platform. Oba was a towering figure, his skin weathered like cracked leather from decades under the sun. His eyes, sharp and wise, scanned the crowd beneath bushy white eyebrows. His long silver beard flowed down his chest, and his voice carried the weight of history. Oba wore a robe embroidered with ancient symbols of protection and strength, the fabric heavy and richly colored. His presence commanded respect and silence. "My children," Oba began, his voice deep and resonant, "the winds of change blow through our village. Many of you dream of lands beyond the hills, where the grass is greener and the skies brighter. But know this, the path to those lands is filled with shadows." The crowd murmured, some faces hopeful, others anxious. Many have tried to cross the deserts and seas, but few return. The journey tests not only your strength but your spirit. You will face hunger, thirst, betrayal, and cold that seeps into your bones. Kofi listened intently, his heart pounding. He knew the elder's words were not meant to discourage, but to prepare. Oba's gaze fell on Kofi. "Young man, your eyes shine with the fire of dreams. But remember, courage alone is not enough. You must carry wisdom, patience, and the strength to endure." Kofi nodded solemnly, the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. The smuggler's promise. As night fell, Kofi found himself at the edge of the village, near the smoky tavern where whispers of escape were traded like currency. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and the scent of palm wine. Shadows danced on the walls as men and women spoke in hushed tones. Kofi's eyes adjusted to the dim light as he approached a figure seated in the corner, a man known as Django. Django was in his late 30s, lean and muscular, with dark skin shining from sweat and smoke. His angular face was framed by a neatly trimmed beard, and a jagged scar ran from his left cheekbone to his jawline, a reminder of a violent past. His sharp eyes gleamed like a hawk's, and his smile was both inviting and dangerous. Django's fingers, adorned with gold rings, tapped rhythmically on the wooden table. His voice was smooth, haunted with a hint of menace. "You seek passage, boy? The road is long and treacherous. The price is high." Kofi swallowed hard but met Django's gaze. "I have no gold, only hope and the sweat of my labor." Django chuckled darkly. "Hope is a fine coin, but it does not feed you or keep you safe. You will pay in trust, and sometimes more." Kofi's jaw clenched. "I am ready to pay the price." The first steps. The night deepened, and Kofi's mind raced with thoughts of the journey ahead. The village slept under a blanket of stars, unaware of the dreams and fears stirring in one young man's heart. As he walked back home, the cool night air whispered secrets through the leaves. Kofi knew that the road ahead would demand everything he had, and more. But in his chest, the fire of hope burned brighter than ever. And so, beneath the gathering storm of doubt and danger, two young men stepped into the unknown. Their journey would test every fiber of their being, but the price of escape was a price they were willing to pay. Chapter 2. The Gathering Storm. The village square awakens. The morning sun rose slowly over the village of whispering winds, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. The air was cooler now, touched by the gentle breeze that rustled through the tall grasses and the leaves of the ancient baobab trees. The village square, usually a place of laughter and light chatter, was unusually quiet. Today was different. Villagers gathered beneath the sprawling branches of the great baobab, their faces etched with concern and curiosity. The elders, draped in robes of deep indigo and gold, sat in a semicircle, their eyes heavy with the weight of unspoken worries. Children clung to their mothers' skates, sensing the tension but not fully understanding its cause. Among them stood Kofi, his tall frame silhouetted against the morning light. His eyes, still bright with hope, now carried the weight of responsibility. Beside him was his closest friend, Embark, a stocky young man with broad shoulders and a quick smile that rarely reached his deep-set eyes. Embark's skin was a rich mahogany, and his hair was styled in tight dreadlocks that bounced as he moved. He wore a simple tunic and faded trousers, his hands calloused from years of working the fields. Oba's words like thunder. The village elder, Oba, rose slowly from his seat. His silver beard shimmered in the sunlight, and his eyes scanned the crowd with a piercing gaze. Every face in the square turned toward him, waiting for his words. "My children," Oba began, his voice low and steady, "the winds that carry your dreams also carry warnings. Many have looked beyond our hills and seen only the promise of greener pastures. But the path to those pastures is not paved with gold. It is thorny and treacherous." He paused, letting his words sink in. The villagers shifted uneasily. Those who leave do so with heavy hearts and empty pockets. They face deserts that burn like fire and seas that swallow hope. Some return broken, others do not return at all. Kofi's jaw tightened. He looked around at the faces of his neighbors, some hopeful, some fearful. He felt the weight of their unspoken fears pressing down on him. Oba's gaze settled on Kofi and Embark. "You too. Your eyes shine with courage, but courage alone will not carry you. You must carry wisdom, patience, and the strength to endure." Conversations under the baobab. After Oba's speech, the crowd began to disperse, but Kofi and Embark remained beneath the baobab, speaking quietly. Embark's voice was low, tinged with doubt. "Kofi, do you think we're ready?" The elder's words, they scare me. Kofi looked at his friend, seeing the flicker of fear in his eyes. I am scared too, Emeka. But if we stay here, our lives will never change. The village is kind, but it cannot give us a future we dream of. Emeka nodded slowly. What if the stories are true? What if the desert burns us, or the sea takes us? Kofi's eyes hardened with resolve. Then we face it together. We carry our families in our hearts and our dreams in our hands. The night before departure, that evening, Kofi sat outside his family's small hut, the flickering light of a single candle casting shadows on the mud walls. His mother, Emma, approached quietly, her face lined with worry. Kofi, she said softly, tomorrow you leave. Are you sure this is a path you want? Kofi looked up, his eyes shining in the candlelight. Mother, I must try. For us all. Emma reached out, touching his cheek gently. The road is long and hard. Remember who you are and where you come from. Kofi smiled faintly. I will carry you with me, always. The smuggler's deal. Before dawn, Kofi and Emeka met Django, the smuggler, at the edge of the village. The man's sharp eyes gleamed in the moonlight, and his smile was both inviting and dangerous. You're ready? Django asked, his voice low. Kofi nodded. We are. Django handed them a small, folded map. This will guide you through the desert. Follow it closely, and trust no one but each other. Emeka swallowed hard. And the prize? Django's smile widened. Your lives, and more. The journey begins. As the first light of dawn broke, Kofi and Emeka set out, leaving behind the village that had nurtured their dreams. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with shadows and whispers of danger. But their hearts beat with hope, and their spirits were unbroken. And so, beneath the gathering storm of doubt and danger, two young men stepped into the unknown. Their journey would test every fiber of their being, but the price of escape was a price they were willing to pay. Chapter 3. The Smuggler's Shadow. The edge of the village. The night had deepened into a velvet blackness that swallowed the stars, save for a faint silver crescent moon hanging low in the sky. The village of whispering winds lay quiet, the usual chorus of crickets and distant laughter replaced by an eerie stillness. Only a few flickering lanterns marked the path to the village's edge, where the date road twisted away into the unknown. Kofi and Emeka moved cautiously along this road, their footsteps soft on the dusty earth. The weight of their backpacks pressed against their backs, heavier than the burden of their dreams. Their faces were set with determination, but their eyes betrayed the flicker of fear that danced beneath the surface. Kofi's skin glistened faintly with sweat despite the cool night air. His sharp cheekbones cast shadows beneath his wide, alert eyes. His lips were pressed into a thin line, betraying the tension coiled in his jaw. Emeka, shorter and stockier, walked beside him with a nervous energy. His dreadlocks caught the moonlight, and a small scar above his right eyebrow gave him a look of hardened experience beyond his years. The Tavern of Whispers. Ahead, a dimly lit tavern pulsed with life. The smell of palm wine, smoke, and sweat spilled into the night air. Inside, voices murmured in low tones, punctuated by occasional bursts of laughter or the clink of wooden mugs. Kofi's heart pounded as they stepped inside. The room was thick with smoke, the shadows playing tricks on the eyes. Men and women of all ages sat clustered in corners, exchanging stories and secrets. The flickering candlelight revealed faces lined with hardship, eyes haunted by dreams and disappointments. At the far end of the room sat Django, the smuggler. His presence was magnetic yet unsettling. Lean and muscular, his dark skin shone with a sheen of sweat and grime. His angular face was framed by a neatly trimmed beard, and the jagged scar that ran from his left cheekbone to his jawline gave him an air of danger. His sharp, hawk-like eyes scanned the room, resting briefly on Kofi and Emeka. The meeting. Django gestured for them to approach. His voice was low, smooth, and laced with menace. So, you've come to cross the horizon, he said, a sly smile curling his lips. The road is long, and the price is high. Are you prepared to pay? Kofi swallowed hard but met Django's gaze steadily. We are ready. Django's eyes narrowed slightly. Ready? Many say that. Few mean it. Emeka shifted uneasily, his muscular frame tense. What is the price? Django leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. Not just money, trust, loyalty, and sometimes sacrifices that cannot be measured in coins. Kofi's jaw clenched. We have little gold, but we have hope and determination. Django's smile deepened, revealing white teeth. Hope is a fine currency, but it can be spent quickly. You will need more than that. The terms of passage. Django slid a worn map across the table, its edges frayed and stained. This will guide you through the desert. Follow it closely. The desert is unforgiving. One wrong step, and you will be lost. Kofi traced the lines on the map with a trembling finger. The route was long and winding, crossing vast dunes and barren plains. Who else will be traveling with us? Emeka asked. Django's eyes gleamed. A group of others, each with their own story, their own reasons for fleeing. You will need to watch your backs. Trust is a rare commodity. Kofi nodded. We understand. Django's gaze hardened. Good. Remember this. The desert does not forgive weakness. And the sea is even less kind. The nights wait. After the meeting, Kofi and Emeka walked back toward the village, the map folded carefully in Kofi's pocket. The night air felt heavier now, filled with the weight of uncertainty and unspoken fears. Emeka broke the silence. Do you think we'll make it? Kofi looked up at the stars, their faint light barely piercing the darkness. We must, for ourselves, and for those waiting for us back home. Emeka sighed. I hope the price isn't more than we can pay. Kofi's eyes burned with resolve. We will pay it, whatever it takes. The price of trust. As dawn approached, the village still slept, unaware of the pact made in shadows. Kofi and Emeka knew that the true journey was only just beginning. The smuggler's shadow loomed over them, a reminder that the path to freedom was fraught with peril, and that every step forward came with a cost. And so, beneath the cloak of night, two young men sealed their fate with a man who promised passage but demanded more than gold. The price of escape was not just the journey itself, but the trust and sacrifices that would be tested in the days to come. If you listened this far, please subscribe and leave us a like. It means a lot to us. Also, comment your thoughts and share this video with your friends and loved ones. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss our future videos. Thank you for doing so. Now, let's continue. Chapter 4, Crossing the Desert. The first light of the journey. The sun had barely risen when Kofi and Emeka, along with a small group of weary travelers, gathered at the edge of the village. The air was thick with anticipation and a quiet fear that clung to their skin like the dust they were about to face. Each carried a small bundle of belongings, their faces etched with exhaustion and hope. Kofi's tall, slender frame stood out among the crowd. His deep brown skin glistened with sweat beneath the early sun, his almond-shaped eyes scanning the horizon. His worn shirt clung to his chest, stained with dust and sweat. Beside him, Nia, a young woman with fierce eyes and tightly braided hair, adjusted the strap of her backpack. Her skin was a rich mahogany, her face strong yet softened by the gentle curve of her smile. The desert awaited, a vast sea of shifting sand dunes that stretched endlessly beneath a blazing sky. The burning sands. As the convoy of battered trucks rumbled forward, the heat grew oppressive. The sun's rays beat down relentlessly, turning the sand into a scorching ocean. The travelers huddled together, faces streaked with sweat and dust, eyes squinting against the glare. Kofi sat atop one of the trucks, his legs dangling over the edge. His face was gaunt, lips cracked, and eyes wide with exhaustion and fear. The journey was testing him beyond anything he had imagined. Nia sat nearby, her posture rigid but determined. Her fierce eyes scanned the horizon, ever watchful. She carried the weight of her own story, a story of loss, courage, and unyielding hope. Beside them, an older woman in a faded hijab clutched a worn photograph of her children, her eyes filled with tears that the desert wind could not dry. Conversations in the heat. The convoy slowed to a crawl as the truck struggled through the dunes. Inside one of the vehicles, Kofi and Nia spoke in hushed tones. Nia's voice was steady but low. The desert is merciless. It strips you of everything, hope, strength, even your memories. Kofi nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. But it cannot strip us of our dreams. We carry them in our hearts. Nia looked at him, a faint smile breaking through her exhaustion. "You are strong, Kofi. Stronger than you know." Kofi's eyes softened. "We all are. We just have to hold on." The test of endurance. As the sun climbed higher, the heat became unbearable. The truck stopped frequently, engines overheating, water supplies dwindling. Some travelers collapsed from exhaustion, their bodies giving in to the desert's cruel embrace. Kofi helped an elderly man to his feet, his hands trembling but his spirit unbroken. The man's face was lined with years of hardship, his eyes bright despite the pain. "Why do you keep going?" Kofi asked. The man smiled faintly. "Because giving up means death, and I still have a family waiting for me." The night's despair. When night fell, the temperature dropped sharply. The travelers huddled together around small fires, their faces illuminated by flickering flames and shadowed by the vast darkness. Kofi sat close to Nia, the cold biting through his thin clothes. He pulled his jacket tighter around him, his thoughts drifting to his family back home. Nia broke the silence. "Do you ever wonder if we made the right choice?" Kofi looked up at the stars, their light distant and cold. "Every day. But I know we must keep moving. For them. For us." The desert's lessons. The desert taught harsh lessons of patience, resilience, and the fragile line between hope and despair. Each step forward was a battle against the elements and against the fear that whispered in the night. Kofi's body ached, his spirit wavering, but his resolve remained unbroken. The price of escape was steep, but the promise of a new life kept the fire alive within him. And so, beneath the burning sun and the endless sky, Kofi and his companions crossed the desert's cruel embrace. Each grain of sand was a test, each breath a victory. The journey was far from over, but the courage to endure had been forged in the heart of the storm. Chapter 5. The Sea of Uncertainty. The Shoreline of Fear. The horizon stretched endlessly, a thin line where the restless sea met the sky. The salty breeze carried a bitter chill, a stark contrast to the burning desert left behind. The group of travelers, now fewer in number, stood silently on the rocky shore, their faces pale and drawn from the relentless journey. Kofi's tall, lean frame was silhouetted against the dim morning light. His dark eyes scanned the churning waves, reflecting a mixture of fear and determination. His clothes hung loosely on his gaunt body, stained with dust and salt. Beside him, Nia held a small child close, her fierce eyes softened by maternal tenderness. Her braided hair was damp from the sea spray, and her skin glistened with the cold. The inflatable raft, fragile and worn, bobbed precariously in the surf. It was their vessel to the unknown, a passage to freedom or journey into darkness. The weight of uncertainty. As the group prepared to board, whispers of prayers and quiet sobs filled the air. The sea was unpredictable, a vast expanse of danger and hope intertwined. Every face told a story of sacrifice, fear, and desperate longing. Kofi knelt beside a young mother, her eyes wide with terror as she clutched her infant. He offered a reassuring smile, though his own heart pounded with uncertainty. Nia's voice was steady but low. "We must hold on to each other. The sea may be cruel, but together we are stronger." Embark, standing nearby, nodded grimly. His muscular frame was tense, his scarred face set with resolve. This is the final test. The night crossing. Under a moonless sky, the raft slipped silently into the dark waters. The waves rocked them gently at first, then grew restless and wild. The cold seeped into their bones, and the salty spray stung their eyes. Kofi gripped the side of the raft, his knuckles white. His breath came in shallow gasps as fear and hope warred within him. Around him, faces were pale and drawn, eyes wide with terror closed in silent prayer. Nia held the child tightly, whispering soothing words despite her own trembling hands. Embark kept watch, scanning the darkness for signs of danger. The storm's fury. Suddenly, the sea roared to life. Waves crashed over the fragile raft, tossing it like a toy. Screams and cries filled the night as the travelers clung desperately to each other. Kofi's heart pounded as he fought to stay upright. The cold was unbearable, and the waves threatened to swallow them whole. In that moment, every sacrifice, every hardship endured, seemed to hang in the balance. Nia's voice cut through the chaos. "Hold on. We will survive this." Dawn's fragile light. As dawn broke, The sea calmed, revealing a horizon tinged with soft pinks and golds. The survivors, exhausted and shivering, clung to the raft, their faces etched with relief and sorrow. Kofi looked around at the small group. Some faces were missing, swallowed by the sea or lost to despair, yet the fire of hope still burned in their eyes. Emeka reached out, grasping Kofi's hand. "We made it, but the journey is not over." Nia nodded, her eyes shining with tears. "We carry the price of escape with us, wounds seen and unseen." The shore of new beginnings. The raft finally touched the rocky shore of a foreign land. The travelers stumbled onto unfamiliar soil, their bodies weak but their spirits unbroken. Kofi stood tall, looking back at the sea that had tested them so cruelly. His eyes were filled with a fierce determination to build a new life, no matter the cost. And so, beneath the cloak of night and the fury of the storm, Kofi and his companions crossed the sea of uncertainty. Each wave was a trial, each breath a victory. Though the price of escape was steep, the promise of a new beginning beckoned beyond the horizon. Chapter 6. Arrival and Reflection. The Shores of a New World. The first light of dawn painted the sky in soft hues of pink and gold as Kofi and the remaining survivors stumbled onto the rocky shore of a foreign land. The air was cooler here, tinged with unfamiliar scents that mingled with the salt of the sea. The ground beneath their feet was hard and uneven, a stark contrast to the soft sands and fertile earth of their homeland. Kofi's tall, slender frame was weary but upright. His deep brown eyes, once bright with youthful hope, now held the quiet wisdom of one who had faced unimaginable trials. His clothes hung loosely on his thin body, stained with salt, dust, and the sweat of the journey. The photograph of his family, worn and creased, was clutched tightly in his hands, a fragile thread connecting him to the life he had left behind. Beside him, Emeka's broad shoulders bore the weight of exhaustion and relief. His scarred face was etched with lines of hardship, but a faint, tired smile played on his lips. Nia, her braided hair damp and tangled, cradled a small child close to her chest, her fierce eyes softened by the tenderness of new life. The refugee camp. The group was soon guided to a refugee camp, a sprawling maze of tents and makeshift shelters nestled on the outskirts of a bustling city. Aid workers moved through the camp, distributing blankets, food, and hope. The air was filled with a mixture of languages, laughter, cries, and whispered prayers. Kofi sat alone on a worn bench, the photograph of his family pressed to his chest. Around him, faces told stories of sacrifice, loss, and resilience. Children played amidst the tent, their laughter a fragile balm against the harshness of their reality. Conversations of hope and pain. Nia approached, her footsteps soft on the dusty ground. She sat beside Kofi, her eyes reflecting the weight of their shared journey. "We made it," she said quietly, "but this is only the beginning." Kofi nodded, his voice thick with emotion. "I carry their faces with me, the ones who couldn't come, their dreams, their sacrifices." Emeka joined them, his voice steady. "We are not alone. Hey, we find strength in each other." The price of escape. As days turned into weeks, Kofi and his companions navigated the challenges of their new life, language barriers, cultural differences, and the ever-present uncertainty of their status. The price of escape was not just a journey, but the ongoing struggle to belong and to rebuild. Kofi found work in a small market, his hands learning new tasks, his heart learning new rhythms. Each day was a step toward a future he could scarcely imagine when he first left home. Reflection and resolve. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Kofi stood at the edge of the camp, looking out over the city lights. The journey had changed him, hardened him, yet also filled him with a deeper understanding of courage and sacrifice. He whispered a prayer to the winds, carrying his hopes back to the village he had left behind. And so, on foreign soil, beneath unfamiliar stars, Kofi's journey reached a new chapter. The price of escape was paid in sweat, tears, and unyielding hope. Though the road ahead was uncertain, the spirit of those who dared to dream burned brighter than ever. Thank you for joining us on this powerful journey through the price of escape, sacrifices made for a future abroad. We hope Kofi's story touched your heart and shed light on the courage, struggles, and sacrifices many face in pursuit of a better life. What part of the story resonated most with you? Do you know someone whose journey echoes these themes? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We love hearing your perspectives and stories. If you found this story engaging, please subscribe to our channel Pablo Multiverse and turn on notifications so you won't miss our future videos filled with dramatic, culturally rich tales brought to life with vivid storytelling and stunning visuals. Your support helps us continue crafting stories that matter. Until next time, keep dreaming and keep hoping. Thank you,